This is the Red Beard Podcast.
Hold on to your butt.
Do we really suck? Or is this guy really that good?
I have one speed, I have one gear. Go!
Hey, what's up? This is the Red Beard Podcast, and you're listening to Cooley. I'm just chilling here by myself today. My man Tony couldn't make it. He's getting ready for his wedding, the most important day in any man's life. So it's, it's reasonable. We can totally respect that, right? So we'll see him next week when he comes back, a new man with a new wife. Well, actually, it's like, his old wife, but it's just official now. Anyway, my man Rob is here with me today. You met Rob before. He is the founder of Steambox RI.
Steambox,
yeah.
yes. Yes, www.steamboxri.com.
Yeah. And Steambox is, and this is something that I just realized like recently, because I looked it up a little bit and did a little research on the whole like idea of Steam. It's you really created something different here because like you kind of added on to the STEM program, right?
Yeah. So STEM was a major initiative across the United States for science, technology, engineering, and math. I didn't invent STEAM. I didn't put the A in STEAM, but I came around at a time where it wasn't frequently used. It wasn't frequently inserted. And here we are in Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And our greatest export, as you and I have traveled around together, and we've been to Philly together, and we've been to Chicago together, and all these great places with this beautiful art, right?
Yeah.
Where we don't really celebrate the art here in Providence.
Right.
We make the artists, and then we send them to to make Philly beautiful and all this stuff. So, that's happening right here. This is the capital of arts, and you can't have science. You can't have engineering without some of the design work that goes into it. So arts is a really important part, and it really opens the door for a lot of other students to embrace STEM when they would otherwise feel alienated to it.
Right. And I'm, it's just funny to me because exactly what you said, like this is arts. The arts are things that we've been into, forever. Right.
Yeah.
This is the stuff that we grew up loving, like, whether it be, theatrical arts or,
Man, Run DMC, man. It could be
fine arts, musical
Run DMC,
art.
It could be breakdancing. It
Exactly.
could be graffiti. It could be some beautiful sculpture. I mean, you and I have taken a look at various forms of art, and we have a mutual love. Mm-hmm. And the more extreme, the better. Exactly.
And one thing that we connect on big time would be comic books, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Comics have been a major topic for either, debate, mutual appreciation, whatever. Mostly debate, though. Like we always seem to be on opposite ends of the spectrum with a lot of the things that we're into. But at the same time, it's not to the point where it's so overbearing that we can't stand each other.
Right. As we've become adults and our lives have shifted away from comic books, it turns out that comic books is something that we debate less than any other thing. Like no matter what, we could both look at something and both love it, and then we're going to find something to debate. It turns out comics is actually some of the stuff that we have more mutually conclusive.
Yeah, we're more aligned on that
absolutely.
now. We used to debate it.
Yep.
But now we've kind of moved into the movie territory because that's where the comic medium's going. I mean, it's more motion and more live action and animation and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know why, because I can read a comic book quicker,
Yep.
And it doesn't save me time. It's not more convenient. It's not, but it's a little more exciting to watch a movie or watch an animation and actually see the comic book stuff that we were into before just come to life.
Yeah.
And it just takes up more of my time, so I have less time to get into the comic book debates, right?
Right. The pacing is different too, right? The pacing in comic books versus a story or a movie. So
yeah.
Here's an example. For Why the Last Man, written by Brian K. Vaughan. It was it was in the 60s, the number of issues that they ran. Brilliant series, and I absolutely loved it. And I've been waiting for a movie adaptation so I could see it on the screen. And the reason I get so excited is not to replace the comic books, which we love, but so that I could see how it's interpreted and reimagined and see how close it was to my imagining of it as I'm reading the books and stuff. And as it's been a project, and this is one of those things that you haven't seen yet. Why the Last Man you haven't seen yet in television or movies, but while it's been in development, it's crashed several times. But every time they keep popping up as a movie, and it doesn't make sense to me, because how are they going to take, and this comes back to my pacing point, how are they going to take a 2-hour movie or a 2.5-hour feature and give us 60 hours worth of content? I mean, for contrast, right, we've got The Walking Dead, which almost does 1 book per episode, right? It seems like 1 or 2 books per episode. They don't handle like 60 books in 2 hours. You know what I mean?
The other thing about The Walking Dead, though, I mean, like they approach it a little differently, where it's like, yeah, they give us a bone and they cover some of the stuff that happens in the books, but at the same time, it's like, I mean, some episodes they veer off into completely different territory, stuff that we've never even seen in the books before, and completely change the face of what happens in the books, like the scene where Denise gets the crossbow bolt through the head. Yeah, right. That's Abraham. Yep. Abraham gets the crossbow bolt.
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Right? Spoiler alert. Abraham should be dead by now.
If you haven't read that shit, if you haven't read it,
they probably haven't. I mean, let's be real.
A lot of the viewers don't read the comic, right? Yep. But a lot of them do. And if you're into it and you want to read the comic, then go for it. You're gonna love it. And yes, that is a spoiler, but I feel like it's one of those things where, fuck it. I mean, like, yeah, they watched it or you haven't, and they read it or you haven't. And I'm not. I mean, at this point in the game, if you haven't, then whatever.
We talk about a lot of areas that you and I have for debate, and spoilers is definitely one of them. You don't care. I cannot go online. I cannot go on the internet. I had students over for WrestleMania, and it was the same day as the Walking Dead season finale, and I needed to unplug from everything until I could watch The Walking Dead, because I didn't even want a tease. I didn't want a hint. I didn't want to see a he or a she or something like that. So I will hide under a blanket to avoid spoilers, whereas you're free in the wind with this stuff.
Oh yeah, like when Star Wars came out, like I literally read the entire movie before I went to go see it. Yeah. And it didn't bother me. Like I was just like, wow, cool, that's going to happen. I can't wait to see it unfold, because to me, like, knowing doesn't really change the art form. It doesn't change like what the director did. It doesn't change what the writers did. It doesn't change anything. It gives me an expectation when I go into that theater. I hate going into a theater blind and not knowing what to expect. I want to know that shit is good, right? I want to know that it's, a lot of people want to experience that for themselves. But for me, it's like, if I go in knowing that it's going to suck, then I can go in and I can just relax, unclench, and have fun.
Which you did recently. We'll probably get into that.
Yeah, we will. We're going to get into that later.
On the opposite hand, my good friend Steven from Boston, who we all had the same tracks with, right? Like all the cool people ended up working at GameStop at one point or another.
Yeah, right.
So Steven, I was talking about how
EB
cool,
Games, actually.
Yeah, it was, right. And for us, it was EBX. It was like the high class EB Games.
Electronics Boutique.
For Copley Mall. Hey, do you remember that great line in the new Rogue One trailer where she says, this is a rebellion, isn't it? Mm-hmm. I rebel.
Right.
Like, dude, I love that so much. He doesn't want to hear it. He doesn't even want to see the trailer. He loves Star Wars. And just anything that he doesn't want to see trailers. He doesn't want to see anything. He doesn't want to like spend a year in anticipation or anything like that. He wants to go into it completely blind. Whereas another huge fan that I know just a moment ago on this podcast said, I do not want to walk into that theater blind. Right. So it's interesting. Different strokes for different folks. Right. I feel you.
I even got a buddy that is kind of like in between, where like he'll watch like the first trailer or the second trailer, but then once it starts getting close to the movie, like any trailers or like spots or whatever or drops that come out, doesn't want anything to do with it. Yeah. Because it's getting close to the movie and he's just like, oh, fuck it, I'm going to see this in like 4 weeks, so I might as well just stop. Like, because I was getting all excited. I was like, did you see that exclusive Captain America Civil War trailer on MTV? And he was just like, don't tell me about it.
I'm too hot and heavy. Don't touch me because I'm going to explode. Right. Save it for the theaters.
But you talked about Why the Last Man, like being translated to film possibly. I'm not sure if has there been any
there has been development. I'm making half of this up, but it's being developed as a show now, which makes a lot more sense, right? So that's the good news. The good news is
AMC, FX, maybe, and like Cinemax, HBO, Showtime. If those are the networks being thrown around, then I'd be happy. If it's like a show for like ABC,
don't
or
make
NBC.
me lie. I think Showtime was what I heard. Showtime was what I heard. So that's the good news.
Yeah.
The bad news is, in the meantime, there's been another show by a great comedian who was on SNL, and he's working with a great cast, and he had a very similar concept with the same name. I don't know how much of it's a coincidence, but it doesn't matter, because satire enough, like, his show is very funny and strong on its own, called The Last Man on Earth. And
oh yeah, that show's great, man.
It is great. It is great. But it's, and while it's very, very different in tone, it's very similar, in the sci-fi aspect of it. You know what I mean? And I'm sure, like, the lens is going to be completely different, right? It's almost like the difference between a sci-fi movie and a comedy. But at the same time, it's a very similar kind of story.
Well, spoiler alert again. With that show, The Last Man on Earth, though, like, I mean, it's really, it only reminds me of Why the Last Man in, like, the first, like, few episodes.
Yeah.
When he is literally the last man on Earth, and he's got, like, a couple of women on the scene, and he's just like, wow, this is great. And then all of a sudden, men start showing up, so he's not the last man anymore. And
beautiful men, too, right?
Oh, yeah, like that, like, especially, like, homeboy there, man, like, what was his name? I forget. It was he had his name.
Yeah, he was, I don't remember.
Yeah, whatever. But just Phil.
Phil, yeah.
Yeah, whatever his last name
Miller?
is. Yeah, Phil Miller, that's it. He shows up, he's got Phil Miller's name, and he's just like
so they made the other Phil take
Shamar
his middle
Moore
name.
Model looking.
They made him take his middle name Tandy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that
which was
great.
Insulting. But and more spoilers. If you don't want to hear about this show, skip ahead 2 minutes. But when the other Phil dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you this far?
Yeah.
So when the other Phil dies, it turns out that he withheld the fact that he had a middle name, which was Stacy. The show is very funny. See,
I love when he was just like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to be the alpha male. You're trying to, and homeboy's just like, yeah, and
man, it's a completely different show than Why the Last Man. It's a completely different thing, but we've got a very large general audience. And a lot of them would be similar demographics. We've got a very large general audience already enjoying a show called The Last Man. Mm-hmm. When you're about to introduce another show called The Last Man, which has the same premise. Here's the last man on Earth, and the adventure starts here. Mm-hmm. And it's a completely different story. But anyway, that's my only negative, is that I feel like it would have been a lot more impactful if we didn't already have a show about the last man on Earth.
Right, but maybe because of that, right, and the success of the last man on Earth, maybe they name it just Y.
Yeah, maybe.
They could do that. The letter Y, right? That would actually, I think it would be a little bit more artsy, do that and like have people, hey, have you watched Y? Right? Like it's, I don't know.
Yeah, without the title, it makes you go, what is that?
Yeah. Why do I want to watch it? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Why the Last Man? The comic is awesome, though.
It's so good.
Like I read the majority of the comic.
Yeah.
I got to like maybe issue 40 or 50, and it was just one of those things because I was binging it, right?
Yep.
And I don't know, like, have you ever binged a comic and not been able to get to the end of it because you were binging it?
Yeah, like in large, you consume it in large chunks,
and it's overwhelming. Right. Like it gets to a point where you're kind of numb to it. You're numb to the story.
Yep.
Right, and so I had to put it away. And it's not. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm talking to the audience right now. I got numb to it, but it wasn't because it was boring at all. Like if I was taking it in doses the way it was meant to be, if I was taking it like an issue at a time, once a month, right? I'd be waiting for the next issue.
Yeah.
But the fact that I got the cliffhanger and then immediately, got to the next issue, like that just over time, it just like it wears out, it wears thin, and you just want to read something else. You want to get into like, an Avengers book or something like a little bit more light or
your
or
audience
fanciful.
should know about this book.
Yeah.
That the major differences are unlike the TV show that we watch with Phil Miller, there are not other beautiful men walking around. This earth is now dominated by women. There are only women.
Yeah.
The plague didn't kill all of mankind. It killed all of man. And it left women, and it left this one man, Yorick, to roam the earth. So
it left another man, ampersand.
Yes. Man is used loosely here.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a male.
Yeah. What kind of monkey?
The only other male.
He's a monkey.
Yeah, he's a. Oh man, I forget the name of the type of monkey, but he's the same kind of monkey that.
I don't want to be a monkey racist.
No.
So does he actually qualify as monkey? Is he?
He's a monkey. I don't think he's an ape. He's one of those monkeys that have those hats. The kind
that people have in diapers that, you know.
From The Hangover.
Yeah, sure.
It's the monkey from The Hangover, basically.
Is it the same one from Night at the Museum who steals the keys and pisses on the guy? And
same kind of monkey.
Those monkeys are assholes, aren't they?
They are.
Like, you never see those monkeys, like, doing nice things.
Yeah, and that monkey did no nice things to anybody except Yorick.
Yeah.
Because he loves Yorick. Like, they're fam, you know?
But it's really, I mean, so if you are a male listener right now, I mean, imagine if all of a sudden you're the last man on earth. Yeah, first thing you're going to do is miss your homies and stuff, and there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to think of that are wrong, but then you're going to realize that you are the pick of the litter when it comes to women, right? And there's all these other things. So you're
the only choice.
Yeah, right. You are the last man on earth.
Yeah.
So he's got all of these romantic opportunities and adventures, but also women want him really bad for that and other things. It takes him on a load of adventures, and it makes him deal with a lot of really cool things. Here's the coolest thing about the book, though. I feel like, and I know that it existed before me, before I aged to this point, but when I became an adult, I feel like a lot of comic books went adult with me, right? Because that's when a lot of my favorite adult comic books started really like nailing things. And I'm talking about The Dark Knight Returns, and I'm talking about Preacher, and I'm talking about Why the Last Man, and all of these books. You know what
There's
I mean?
a reason for that. I mean, so when comic books came out, they were for children, and you had people that were writing with what was within their minds what children wanted to read. Right. So they're writing what their audience wants. Like they're totally all about their audience. Now later on, as we're growing up, the kids that are reading comics are growing up too, and a lot of those people are becoming writers. And instead of writing what they think kids want to read, they're writing what they want to read.
Yep.
Right. Now they're like, well, there's nothing out there for me now.
Yeah.
And they start writing what's inside of them.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're getting this whole new generation of writers that are writing for us.
Right.
Right. Because we're growing up with them. And now that's going to continue. And soon there's going to be comic books that we're just not even going to understand. We're not even going to get it.
Oh man.
And that's going to be weird. Yeah. But I'm going to totally be down with that.
Well, there's the commonality, right? This is all still based in the art, right? Like a lot of the stuff that we talked about right from the beginning, the art, the A in Steambox, right?
Yeah. Like Run DMC, that style of hip hop doesn't exist anymore. Now it's like this really weird like type of hip hop that I feel like my mom. I'm like, what are you kids listening to? You know what I mean?
Because it's written by people for a different generation than
exactly.
us. But if you listen really close, there's a lot of great stuff in there, right? And and so our mutual homie, right, Tony, right?
Yeah.
Tony, woo woo for the wedding.
Yeah.
We said we didn't want to hurt him right now, but we did want to hurt him at the bachelor party. That's why we had Mortal Kombat. We had the Predator show up in cosplay, do a lap dance for him, and stick like a little weird knife thing through his own. Tony loved it. There's nothing that gets Tony off more than the Predator showing up during his lap dance. But yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this. No, so. So the reason that I brought Tony in is Tony had posted on his social media recently about hip hop, and I agreed with his post. It was funny, and there was a lot of truth in it, and I definitely agree with the spirit of it. Yeah, absolutely. But something else that I've come to realize, and I don't know if we talked about this on the last podcast, but as I listen to like the current generation of hip hop, we see the garbage because the garbage is what's always on the front line. And it was no different in, you know, our adulthood, like when we first became adults, right?
Yeah.
So
like Wu-Tang wasn't all over 106.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, it was Hammer. Right. It was Hammer time. I got into Hammer a little bit. Please forgive me.
I forgive you.
I was wrong. Okay. I was wrong. But just like we put Hammer and all these other people up there, I mean, what we see on the front lines here is Drake and people who are just making weird rhyming sounds that don't mean anything. They're not even saying, I'm a you. You know what I mean? Like, what? Right? But if you listen really deep, man, there's some Kendrick Lamar happening, and there's some, there's, no, not Kendrick.
Kendrick Lamar is dope.
Yeah, there's Kendrick, there's J. Cole, there's Logic. There are some dope players in there, just like there were in every single generation of hip hop. So, I want to tell you
like,
that
the best thing about Kendrick, though, is that he's actually getting recognition for it.
Yeah.
Like, different from the stars of our time.
Right.
You know, the stars of our time, we always used to scratch our heads like, why aren't they getting awards? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And a lot of them did eventually, right? Like, it was the Roots and Common and stuff, and these guys are doing whatever they want now, and so is Mos Def.
The Roots are having fun with Jimmy Fallon now.
Yeah. I mean, and it's amazing, and the stuff that they do, like they made Hamilton and all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I think Quest had a lot to do with the production and all.
Yeah,
that.
he did.
So they're doing a lot of amazing things. So this is my way to bring back a shout out to our man Tony, who's getting married tomorrow, but also to point out that man, the art is still there. It's just that sometimes we got to look into it. So if we look into the future and we look at where it's come from, comic books have been in those places and they're going to those places, but there was that one central time where Ennis and Brian K. Vaughan and all these people were writing these very adult books, and it was really good. So there was Preacher, right? Ennis was also writing a book called The Boys. He also writes a lot of books that are just really weird, and there's just be boobs and weird stuff for no reason.
Let's get into Preacher for a minute, because that's coming up on AMC.
That's going to be another TV show.
I'm excited for it, and the funniest thing, man, is that, like, nobody knows about this book. And I don't understand. Like, the only people that know about this book are, like, you, me, and, like, maybe a couple of people at work that just started, like, reading it or whatever because somebody put them onto it. And it's like, I mention it and people go, what's that? Right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you don't know? Like, how do you not know this book? To me, it's, like, one of the best things that was ever written in comics. Like, just because of how ridiculous most of the shit was in that book.
I'd say it was my favorite book ever. And it was at a perfect time for me too, because it was the perfect generation, when I was hitting it and reading it. I was taking the train back and forth from Boston. I had plenty of time to read, and I had a lot of friends on there, and they would ask me, why do you, a lot of people don't understand a grown man reading comic books. And when people don't understand a grown man reading comic books, you know what comic book you hand them to show them?
Yeah. Preacher.
You hand them Preacher, right?
Yeah, you're not going to even something like The Punisher by Ennis, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still handing them a guy in tights.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Like, you give him Preacher, you're giving him something that's completely, like, out of the norm, something that they're totally not expecting.
Right.
And absolutely, man.
So good. It's so good. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what Seth Rogen does with it, right? Because we all like Seth Rogen as the guy who's like the next door neighbor kind of guy who's super funny. We all like this guy on TV. So what's he going to do with our favorite comic book? Is he going to make it a really great show? Or is he just going to make, sperm jokes and stuff?
Now, you watched
ejaculation jokes.
You watched the clip,
I
right?
did.
Tell me that shit wasn't dope.
It was.
Like, I have no idea what the context of that was, because that's not something that I've seen in the comics.
No.
But we know that they're doing the similar, like, Walking Dead style thing where they're deviating from the books a little bit.
For the sake of clarity, we're talking about Tulip in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I didn't see that in the comics at all, but, like, it really does capture her character, like, who she is.
Yep.
And it was fucking dope. Like, the way that she was fighting in the car.
Yeah.
And, like, it was just, like, such a great action scene that, like, nothing like you've seen on television, really.
Yep.
Like, on regular television.
So, Preacher's a story of a man in search of God, a preacher in search of God. He wants answers.
Yeah, it's a different take on a lapse of faith.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Because he actually knows. He knows.
Yeah.
He knows there's a God. But he wants to know why.
Right.
Why have we as man been forsaken by God?
And he's going to get answers.
Right.
Like that's his thing. Like he's just like, screw this, I'm going to find out, right?
So as we mentioned names like Tulip, you should know that Tulip is his romantic interest, I would say.
Ex-girlfriend, fling.
Yeah, who's a drug addict, an unapologetic like heroin addict, and his best friend, his name is Cassidy, who's this Irish vampire bar brawling drunk.
Yeah. Vampire with a question mark though, right? Like, cause like
the book never tells you why.
Right.
And it doesn't apologize for it. It's just like, oh, by the way, his best friend's a vampire.
We never meet any other vampires.
Yep. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. They're like, don't give me the science if you can't do it right. You know what I mean? Don't give me some hokey dokey. Yeah, they don't try.
Fake it. They're just like, boom, he's a vampire.
He's a vampire. Done.
Where's his fangs? Doesn't have them. Whatever. Deal with it.
Hey, you know what? Here's a reason to think maybe he's not a vampire. But I'm just going to drop this right here and walk away.
Yeah. Oh, he just ate somebody. Thank you.
I think I'm convinced again that he's a vampire. Yeah,
I love it. I absolutely love it.
There is a character who has a great deal of sex with a large mountain of meat that he's created and he's shaped in the form of a woman, which is interesting. Are you familiar with this?
I am familiar with this. Is he going to be in the show though?
I can't wait to find out what Seth Rogen does.
Yeah, right?
The trailer seemed to pull no punches.
Because I feel like, well, yeah, Arseface, huh? You saw Arseface, right?
I have not seen Arseface.
You still have not seen Arseface. Just look him up. Just look him up right now so I can get your reaction on here. But while you're doing that, the whole thing about changing the comic from the way that it was written and bringing it to the screen, I kind of get it because some of the stuff in the book was just so over the top. You know?
Absolutely.
That I don't think you can put that on film.
It doesn't feel like rated X, but it feels beyond R.
Right. Not only beyond R, but it also feels like if you're going to do some of the stuff, like it on film with real people pulling some of the shit off, it would feel almost silly. Right? Don't you think?
Yeah.
Like if it was like real people acting it out and stuff like that, like, you know, like what was like just certain things. Like I can't give it. I'm not going to give anything away just in case they do put it on the show. But you know what I mean. But then,
you know, Ryan Reynolds with Deadpool, he makes me feel like,
oh, that's a comedy though.
Yeah.
Right, and it's a comedy book. It was written and directed the way that it was supposed to be written and directed, and it was very true to the source, and that's why it worked.
Well, when we say the way it was supposed to be written and directed, we're talking about being true to the source.
Right.
And 2 minutes ago, we talked about how they were unapologetic for a vampire, and we don't need to know why just because, boom.
Well, yeah, and I think that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're true to the source, in the sense that, because, like, let's face it, nothing in Deadpool, aside from maybe parts of his origin, was anything that was pulled straight from the comic.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Deadpool was in spirit.
Yeah.
And accuracy as far as costume goes, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, that Weasel wasn't Weasel from the book. Like, Weasel was a tech guy. Like, he was the guy that supplied Wade with his guns and bullets and stuff like that. He wasn't the bartender of the place that he, like, all the little things, there were a lot of little twists and turns that they took, but everything was true to the spirit of the characters in the comic and stuff like that. And that's what I think they're going to do with this, where it's going to deviate from the actual storylines.
Yeah.
And like the things that they actually did in the books, but like you're going to get Jesse Custer and you're going to get Tulip and you're going to get, what's his name there? The Cassidy, right? You're going to get these guys in their full form.
Now, Tulip in the book is a white woman, and in the show is a black woman.
Right.
Is this okay with you?
This is fine with me.
This is fine with me too. It feels okay for Tulip. It feels okay for her character.
Right.
And I'm not saying it feels okay because she's a heroin addict, so may as well make her a black woman. That's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going at all.
Right.
I think it wasn't essential to her character that
she's strong as fuck though. Like, I mean, I'm talking about her character and her spirit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She's not Like, even as a heroin addict, she might have that weakness of that. But I mean, like, otherwise, like, she is a very strong character.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
I mean, it's gonna translate well.
Yep.
I don't think anybody can point at her and say, "Oh, she's black," and like, this is the guy, this is the character that we're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something that you're gonna say. You're gonna be like, "Wow, she's a cool character."
Yeah. I mean, I sometimes get concerned with changing the races, because sometimes these races are based in stuff, and you and I had talked about stuff, and I don't want to get it too much into it. I think the one that you made me think about the most was when you were talking about, Idris Elba, I thought was perfectly cast in Thor. And then you made me think twice about it. And you were like, you know, these guys are based on
Norse mythology, dude. Like, it's all right. So it's Nordic, man. Like, it's like taking, Julius Caesar and making him black. You know what I mean? Like, you can't do that.
I don't know that there's an answer. I don't know that there's an answer. I'm with you that the Nordics are white and very white, right?
Yeah, like, there's not like, you're not gonna go there and be like, oh, there's a black dude. Like, there's another black dude.
But we're not talking about Nordics. We're talking about Nordic gods.
Right.
So I don't know.
But
I don't know. But you made me think.
But let's also look at religion, right?
Yep.
For what it is. And religion is something that people that want to believe in something higher, right? They put their focus on this belief that they've created, right? Yep. And if you have the Norsemen, right? The people of the North, right? These folks that are like basically lily white, right? All of them. There's not all of them. It's just like if you go to Africa where the sun is blazing on you, you're going to have people of color. Like, and the lightest person you're going to have is probably tan, right? Except for South Africa, right?
Which is a major part of Go ahead.
Shut up. Then you go to the north where there's like, it's all snow.
Yeah.
You're probably going to have all white folks, right? Like, I'm not trying to be a generalist, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's just geography and the way that the sun shines. And the way that you have to adapt.
You made me think.
They created these gods.
You've made sense. You've made sense, and I've considered a lot of this. I've also considered how, you know, somebody could end up amongst their ranks. You know what I mean? From without. You know what I mean?
Like, they recruited somebody from another area. Like, the gods were like, man, none of our guys are really good at guarding this bridge. We need to get somebody from Egypt. Not
necessarily to guard the bridge, but what if just ages ago, you know what I mean? He became a part of. You know, he became a part of their
like
group.
Loki, like how he was like adopted from
like Loki,
the Frost Giants.
I don't mean, when I say like Loki, I don't mean through that path, but I mean like Loki having a variable path. So yeah, you gave me a lot to think about, right? Because I was thinking it makes sense sometimes. So sometimes you cannot change race. And sometimes you probably should. Sometimes it might have been written wrong. Spider-Man, for example.
Don't you think there are characters that Idris Elba would have fit better? Like, and I'm not saying just because he's black, but I mean, like, wouldn't you and I have talked about it even? Like, don't you think like Idris Elba as Black Panther would have been fucking great?
Man, yeah.
Especially after seeing Beasts of No Nation.
I can watch him in any one role and know that he should, and this is my answer to him as
at least his father. You know what I mean?
I think he can play whatever role he wants is my ultimate answer, which goes against what we're talking about.
Right.
I think he can play whatever he wants.
He can make you believe he's white.
I think he's amazing.
He is. He's awesome. He is awesome. He is one of the best actors.
Whatever role he plays
of his generation,
whatever gender or race he plays, the product is probably going to be better off for it because there's not a lot of better actors than he is. Mm-hmm. So Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man, he's from Queens, and him and all his counterparts are all white. And at this point, and it was probably different at the time that the Spider-Man origin was written in comic books. But at the time that I sat down to watch the Sam Raimi version of the movie, first of all, I was in glee because Spider-Man is my favorite character, and I got to watch him on the big screen in a way that was, for most parts, excellent, right? We're talking about Norman Osborn was so well played, right? And a lot of the acting was great. A lot of the production quality was great. The tongue-in-cheek stuff was great. And he really seemed to get the character, right? Sam Raimi did.
Yeah.
And I was a fan of Sam Raimi from Evil Dead and all that stuff and Army of Darkness. But it did strike me as odd. And it took me apart from the movie. It took me away from the movie that all of Queens is white. Like, all of Queens is white. Like, his whole public high school in Queens in modern day, like now, is white. It's just not, like, my brain is those big red X's from Family Feud are coming up in my head, and it just struck me as wrong. So there are times where I think it's time to contemporize in a way that maybe it's not how it was written, but it's in a way that only makes sense in our world.
Yeah, but while I had a problem with Idris Elba as Heimdall, right?
Yep.
And Mary Jane Watson.
Yeah.
Kind of rubs you the wrong way, doesn't it? If because we talked about Zendaya possibly being Mary Jane Watson, that kind of ruffles your feathers a little bit, doesn't it?
So weird. This is a weird conversation for me. Because I'm the advocate. I'm the advocate for diversifying.
And you knew I had to pull this out of my hat. So
this is good. This is a sucker punch, but it's a good one, and I love that you're pulling it on me. Yeah. Go ahead. Tell us what we're talking about. Tell us what you're talking about.
So Zendaya, from what is it, Disney or Nickelodeon?
Disney TV shows, I believe.
Yeah, Disney TV shows. She is cast in the new Spider-Man movie from Marvel and Sony.
Mysterious role. It's
a mysterious role. Nobody really knows who she's going to play, but I am pretty sure somebody of her profile is probably going to end up being Mary Jane Watson, because Mary Jane in the comics was traditionally a model, right? A fashion model, somebody or an aspiring fashion model from the high school that Peter Parker goes to. So she is like she's basically that person in real life. So I'm guessing that's who they're casting her as. I could be completely wrong, but to me it makes sense.
You left out some key things that we know about Mary Jane. See, the thing is, and you
also the fact are you talking about the fact that her last name is Watson? That I think that is a traditionally black African American name, right? Like, if you think about, if you're in England, Watson is definitely probably a white person's name, right? But in America, when I hear the word Watson, the name Watson. When I hear the name Johnson, when I hear that, these are people that can be white, but guess what?
With all those names, I would make no assumptions with those names.
I wouldn't make assumptions. I wouldn't make assumptions, but I always felt weird about Mary Jane, and I couldn't put my finger on it until they cast her as possibly Mary Jane, and Zendaya was Mary Jane Watson, and I said to myself, Eureka! This is why Mary Jane has always been weird to me. The name Mary Jane Watson just fits on a black woman. I think it does. I think to me that just brings it all together. And now just so everybody understands, I am a man of color. I am not saying this as a judgmental racist person. I'm just saying there are things out there that just make sense to me, and to me this makes sense.
I'm visibly uncomfortable, probably.
You are. He's like.
I think there are elements,
almost like a withdrawing crack addict. Like I see you, playing with your face and
stroking my beard. Yeah,
it's like, oh my god.
There are elements here that you're probably not so wrong about.
Right.
But the thing is, Mary Jane Spider-Man's become an icon for with great power comes great responsibility. The ability to triumph in adverse conditions and all this stuff. Not because he's white. So for them to do some Miles Morales stuff, I thought it was great. Go for it. Hey, I've got family members who are half black, half Puerto Rican, just like Miles Morales. And I think it's great that they have this Spider-Man character that they can look up to. And I think it's great that our nation, as diverse as it is, has more characters that they can look up to. Mary Jane has become an icon not for her fashion sensibilities, not for being Peter Parker's girlfriend. Mary Jane has become an icon for being the hot redhead. I mean, she's the hot ginger. That's what Mary Jane has become an icon for. So it's weird because it's a chicken and an egg situation where Mary Jane very well could have been written as a black woman in the first place. But she has set the icon for that hot redhead, which I think is totally unfair to ever think that this geek Peter Parker would ever be able to pull off. You know what I mean? In high school. But good for him.
How about one of the
think
first,
she could play Gwen Stacy.
How about one of the first interracial couples in, well, you have Luke Cage and Jessica Jones, but there's almost like this weird, like this flip on that where Luke Cage is like the black stud.
Yeah.
And Jessica Jones is like this white chick that, and you can look at that either way, where she's taking advantage of him or he's taking advantage of her. But the other way around, you don't really see that too much, where you have like this white male that's going out with a black female.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, this could be almost the same, because there's a lot of hot redheads now.
Yeah.
Back then, you may have needed that because gingers may have been like the odd man out or the odd woman out at that time. We always had like Opie Taylor, Richie Cunningham. You had like,
yeah.
But you never really had like the only other one was maybe Ginger from Gilligan's Island, right? That people kind of fantasized about at the time. But now you got redheads everywhere. Everybody, they're dyeing their hair red.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to have like that interracial couple kind of take that next step, like, and have it be, white guy, black girl, right? And have it be like a totally like organic situation. You know what I mean? Hey, I need a date to the prom. Oh, my best friend's daughter's in town. Let me introduce you. Face it, Tiger, you just hit the jackpot. Like that being a moment where you have, two people coming together as a couple. I think that can be very powerful for today's youth.
It sounds beautiful. And the way that you put it, I yield to you. I yield to you on this conversation.
Okay. That's awesome, because that hardly ever happens.
I might still be uncomfortable stroking my beard going, I don't know, and then wait and see. And the concept might have to grow on me. But I tell you, I'm all for diversifying characters more. The things that, the differences, the leaps that I want to see reduced are character leaps. You know what I mean? Like, we've grown to love these characters because we love the characters. So just be true to the character. It doesn't have to, the color is not so important. And here's where I can go into a more contemporary issue. Lex Luthor, right? Like, and I hate that I knew it from the previews, right? Because that implies that, like, I didn't go in with an open mind. And I promise you, I went in with some DC fans, and I really tried for them. Like, I wanted it to be great for them.
So we're doing this now?
We don't have to.
Let's do it now.
All right,
let's just do it now, because you started it, and this is the second time we mentioned it. And I don't want to wait.
I want to point out that, one, I'm not the great Redbeard. I'm not our man Tony, who's getting ready for his wedding right now. This is your show and you facilitate, but there's so many tangents that you've already pushed, man. Like Jessica Jones, when you brought up Jessica Jones, like, how great was that? Like, how can I come on your podcast without talking about how amazing that was as a metaphor for sexual victims, right? For victims of sexual crimes. That show was, we talk about art, that whole show was art. I had some issues with pacing in the middle, which probably
slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, it slowed down a little bit. But man, David Tennant was so great. Her relationship with Luke Cage was so great, and it made so much sense, like, after the relationship that she was coming out of. It's such a great hero for people, and this is one of those things where they've taken great material and somehow made it even better on screen, which is weird for me to say about Brian Michael Bendis's work, right? Like, they've taken his pages and they've somehow made them even better, which absolutely amazed me. Forgive me, you're the facilitator. Facilitate to wherever you want to go.
He agreed.
Did he?
Bendis agreed, yeah.
Give me a roundabout of what he had to say.
He was just, I remember him, talking about the show, and he was gushing about it. He was just like, he was super happy and excited about it. And he literally said, like, this is hard for me to say. You know what I mean? I think that, you, like, they nailed it, and they did such a great job with it. And he was like, it was very hard for him to say because he didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't write it. He didn't executive produce or anything like that. They consulted with him, but to the extent of like, hey, does this sound right? You know what I mean? But it was very hard for him to actually, say this to the fans that somebody else got his baby right. You know what I mean? And it was cool. It was a cool moment because that was the moment that I was like, dude, I cannot wait for this show.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was, and I was already pumped because it's one of my favorite characters. And Luke Cage was going to be in it, who's my other favorite character. So, the fact that they nailed it, and they did, they absolutely did. There was nothing that they got wrong, especially with, introducing Patsy Walker was one of the things that they took liberties with because Patsy Walker wasn't a part of her mythos.
Who was it in the book?
It was Miss Marvel.
Right.
Or Captain Marvel. Right. Captain Marvel now, Miss Marvel then. It was Carol Danvers. She was like her friend, her confidant.
But Marvel has other plans for her right now.
Yeah, so she couldn't make her debut in this show.
Right.
They didn't have anybody, cast in the role. She's going to be in her own movie. She's going to be introduced later on. So they had to use somebody else. And Patsy Walker was perfect.
Yeah.
It was the perfect choice.
Yeah.
And like the fact that they were like, she wasn't Hellcat yet. She's training. She's trying to, be able to defend herself and stuff like that. It's like she has like the perfect organic transformation into a vigilante and I think she's going to end up being part of the Defenders. She has to be. Like you can't introduce her and not make her part because she is one of the Defenders, the originals.
Hellcat, very few people know, is Marvel's first icon. This is like before Captain America, before everything. Mm-hmm. Hellcat is a real early book that got adapted and brought into Marvel. And so she's a pre-existing character, and a lot of people are looking at her like she's playing second fiddle to all of these already like B-tiered characters at Marvel, right? Like we don't think of Luke Cage and Iron Fist as like the top dogs at Marvel. So good for them to get Hellcat involved. Mm-hmm. If we're talking about diversifying characters and changing races and stuff like that, I'm all for it. We live in a very diverse place, and the more that we're represented that way on screen just makes it more real to me. So I'm all for it. But they've been written as these already excellent characters, or else they wouldn't have been successful enough to adapt into a big screenplay at all. So we wouldn't have a Superman movie if Lex Luthor wasn't already an amazing character. So why would they try to contemporize Lex Luthor? Like, as if we're too stupid to get this real strong, classy character, right? Who may be, written, 50 years ago. Why would they try to make it like this hipster douchebag wearing a Banksy t-shirt? And I don't say Banksy is associated with, he kind of is. Like, hipsters love their Banksy, and it sucks because I love Banksy too. But he's literally wearing a Banksy t-shirt, and he's a hipster douchebag, and he talks like a hipster, and he's an absolute douchebag. And it's not Lex Luthor. And people might say, and people might argue, no, it's Lex's son. It's definitely Lex Jr. F you. If this is Lex's son, this was their shot at Lex. And it's for all intents and purposes Lex, whether you call him Jr. or not. Whether he has a dad that's dead who was like a previous Lex Luthor, well, guess what? He's not at play here with this Superman, so he doesn't count. So this is all we get for Lex Luthor, whether it's his son, whether it's Grandpa Luthor, whether it's baby Luthor, whether it's a clone of Luthor. This was their shot at Lex Luthor, and this is what they gave us. And Lex
is dead according to the movie, right? Like, because his father died and left him the business and the money and all that stuff. So if this is Lex Jr., then the actual Lex Luthor is dead, and that means that we'll never get that Lex Luthor. So this is Lex Luthor.
This is Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
Whether he's junior, third, fourth, it doesn't matter.
Ditto.
Can you put a cool echo effect to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I'll do that. So
I don't believe you.
So the movie Batman v Superman, we have very different ideas of how that movie played out. And one of the interesting things is that when it's me and Tony on Redbeard Podcast and we're talking about Batman v Superman, I'm usually in your shoes where I'm saying how awful it is, and Tony's defending it and saying how great it is. And we're about to flip that right now because you're about to tell me how much more awful it is than what I think, and I'm going to be like, dude, it's not that bad. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
We've been talking for years and years. You and I have had a podcast that nobody listened to because we haven't recorded it for decades, right? And we always had a segment called Good Cop, Bad Cop, and we're about to play Good Cop, Bad Cop.
Yes,
and right now, you're the good cop and I'm the bad cop.
So go.
Listen, if I go into a restaurant and I order steak and they serve me a piece of shit sandwich, I'm going to be angry that they served me a piece of shit sandwich. I'm going to want the steak. And if the waiter comes up to me and says, hey, there's some Ben Affleck garnish on the side and some other cool things. Look, the bread is the highest quality bread. I don't give a shit. This is a piece of shit sandwich. I do not want it. Like, why would you? Like, I know people who acknowledge that a lot of this is horrible, but they still are willing to accept it. It's like, well, this is what we're gonna get. I wanted Batman versus Superman forever, and I finally got to see them punch each other. And yeah, but it was horrible, and you deserve better. And I normally argue with DC fans and talk about how Marvel is better, and I don't always believe it, especially when it comes to animation. I have such high respect for DC when it comes to certain areas like animation, not when it comes to how they portray women, usually, with, of course, the exception of Wonder Woman.
Recently,
right. But
she was a secretary at one point.
I've got a lot of problems. With DC, but I really tried to keep an open mind for these students. And because I love so many people who love DC, I wanted this to be good for them. Plus, for the sake of competition. Like, I wanted Marvel to look at this and be like, oh, we need to step our game up. Marvel is not looking at this like we need to step their game up. And I can give you a million reasons why, but Marvel's
looking at this like we don't have to really do anything at this point. We're good.
Everybody who would listen to this already knows that it was a 2-minute fight that was resolved because they have a mother's name in common, right? Martha, right? Martha.
Why'd you say that?
Why'd you say that name?
Do you know something?
Like, they have a secret code word.
I'm a friend of your son's.
He went from trying to kill him to being his friend.
Really? You're a friend of my son's?
Lois goes back for the spear with kryptonite.
Why?
Why?
No, you're not saying anything I don't
Superman
agree with.
But when the list is so long, the sum of all parts is that it's a piece of shit. The sum of all parts is that it's a failure of a movie. And it might have had some elements in it that were cool, right? It was cool to see Batman fly around the room and put fear into all those people. I thought that was cool. And by fly, I don't mean when he flew at the beginning, because I hated that. It was okay that it was a dream, but like all the dreams, it was a lot. It was very scattered. I can't stop thinking about how Superman was framed for a mass shooting. Right. And in like this atmosphere where like mass shootings occur and stuff, like it's a very real thing that happens in this world. But to think that this godlike character did that, to pose that as a reason for them to get into this Marvel Civil War ripoff territory that they did in the movie, it blew my mind. Like, it's just such a terrible premise. Lex is such a terrible character. And the movie was just so terrible.
Like, for me, right? For me, like, the movie was entertaining, and I went. I see
they punched each other.
I see you rolling your eyes. I see it, or at least looking into the back of your head to figure out what the hell I'm talking about. But I can tell you that I went into this. I get the strict feeling that you went into this movie expecting the movie to be good. I went into this movie expecting it to be absolute garbage. I tried to amp myself up before the movie, tried to say, oh, this movie's going to be great, because I wanted to give it like all the credit in the world and give it a chance to fall flat on its face. But inside, I knew this movie was going to be awful, right? So like I'm saying to myself, it's going to be awful. I'm watching the trailers. The trailer gives everything away. Like it did. Like, they said that it didn't.
Every good thing away.
They said that it didn't. They say like they tried to say that, oh, just watch it because there's way more to the movie than what we have in the trailer. But they absolutely gave every single piece of it away. Like you could watch the trailer and be like, oh, so Superman's being revered as a god. Batman doesn't like it. They fight because Lex Luthor sets that up. They become friends because they have to face Doomsday, and Wonder Woman shows up. And that's exactly what happens in the entire movie. Like, that is the plot. It is the beginning, the middle, the end. There's nothing that was surprising in that movie at all. There was except for the death of Superman.
Is she with you?
That was even in the trailer.
Not only was that in the trailer, but when Batman says, I thought she was with you, was that Batman who said that?
Yeah.
He had just emailed her.
Yeah.
What the hell? What?
Right.
Did you forget that you just emailed her?
Maybe he thought he was dreaming.
Were you too busy with the workout montage?
He might have thought he was dreaming.
He might have thought he was dreaming. And he dreams about Ezra Miller, which is, like we all know about Men in Tights. And now, there's some subliminal stuff happening here.
But I don't think that was a dream. I actually think that was like the Flash, like traveling through time and that being like a side effect of the time travel type thing. But I think it was poorly executed. So it looked like a dream and whatnot. Because like that shit was there was way too much shit going on. Like with that vision, like you had the Omega symbol emblazoned in the ground. You actually had parademons coming down and like, helping out Superman. Everybody had like these like, weird Nazi like uniforms, and everything was too specific and pointing to Darkseid.
Yeah.
For that to be an actual dream. That was a vision of the future. But it was poorly executed.
No,
like,
I agree.
But for me, like the movie was entertaining. I thought the cinematography was great, and for me that was the thing that made it better than what you're thinking, but not so great that I made it more than average. And the problem with that movie for me, the biggest problem is Lex. Take Lex out of the equation. The second biggest problem is the fact that the story, the writing, you had places that you wanted to go. Like you had your destination set for each beat in that movie, and they manufactured the result instead of actually writing something and saying, okay, well, this is where we end up because this is the stuff that's happening. And there's nothing organic in the movie. I want this to happen. I want Superman to be on trial. How do we get him there?
Yeah.
Right. I want them to fight. How do we get them there?
They
need to stop fighting. How do we get them to stop fighting? All right, now
here's how we get them there. Let's ignore the people with bazookas and AKs, tearing through the city with a truck full of kryptonite. Let's have him target Batman because he's the dickhead who Superman needs to go and get right now.
Right. And then you have we need Doomsday. How do we get Doomsday involved? We need to find a way to stop Doomsday. How do we get the spear back? Right? Oh, Lois can go get it. Right? But why? Why does Lois go get it? Nobody knows. There's no why to anything that happens. There's no reason to anything that happens except for the end result, which is like, oh, that's why that happened because we needed to get to this point. Right? So the writing is just so fucking haphazard and shoddy that people don't understand why they're thrown off by this movie, but that's what it is. It's so stuttery.
What you've just described, and I believe that we can come together. We're going to find some common ground here. Mm-hmm. What you've just described is a bad movie. That's a bad movie is what you've just described. Now, I've seen some bad movies that I really enjoyed. Kung Pao. I love Kung Pao. It's so stupid.
It was supposed to be that, though.
Yeah, it's supposed to be bad, right? So let's point at one that's not supposed to be bad. Let's apples to apples, right? The Punisher with Thomas Jane. When I left that movie, I loved it so much. There's a difference between being able to really enjoy a movie and it being a good movie. There's a lot of movies that we can all think back on that we really enjoyed that were not good movies. This movie, it's fair to say, hey, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed Batman versus Superman. I really liked this and this. I love the bug scene where Batman was fighting bugs in his dreams, right? You can say any of these things and it's your opinion and I'm cool with it. And I'm a little jealous that you enjoyed the movie more than I did. And my 10-year-old son who was rolling his eyes through the whole thing too. But what I can't hear is like it can't qualify for a good movie. And I know that you might say, hey, that's an opinion about whether something or not is good. But I mean, there's a sum of all parts. There's an equation to this. And like, how can you point at something that's so irreparably broken and say this was good? And I'm not pointing at you because I don't think ultimately that's where you're going with this. I think ultimately you gave it a score of like passable and I was able to enjoy it, and probably passable because I was able to enjoy it.
Right.
Where I know some people, and I'm not talking, my man, enjoy your wedding. I'm not talking about Tony. I'm talking about some people who really are like, you're just a Marvel fanboy. They don't even know that I love Marvel, which I do. Right?
Yeah.
But people will just be like, oh, you just go watch Civil War then, blah, 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 blah. This is great. the thing is, it's not because I'm a Marvel fanboy. Not only in the spirit of competition, but because I love so many DC fans, I want to say to you guys, if this is you, I want to say to you, don't you deserve better? Like, the Batman versus Superman, if you ever saw the animated series where Batman and Superman were going back and forth and they discovered each other's identities, that could have been a movie in itself, and it would have been awesome. It would have been amazing. Mm-hmm. I mean, don't we deserve better? Don't we deserve a qualifiable movie?
Yeah, here's the problem, right, with that is you have these people that are attacking Marvel fanboys for being fanboys and hating on DC when none of us had anything to say until Zack Snyder opened up his mouth and said that whole comment about, like, Marvel's just the flavor of the week, and we have these mythological characters that, are like, amazing, and this movie's going to be so off the chains that
he
it's
wanted to swing the D.
He was measuring dicks with Marvel, yep. and you can't do that, man. Like, when you have something that's so dominant, like, just be like, I mean, if he just said, dude, I'm so happy that Marvel's being so successful because it opened up the door for us to be able to do what we're doing.
Which
right?
is true.
Exactly. Right? That's it. That's all you have to say if you're going to bring Marvel into the equation. Otherwise, just leave them out of it and just be like, hey, this is what we're doing. Right? And if you want to say how great it's going to be, great, but don't compare it to something that's so beloved. Right? Because everybody loves the Marvel movies. Right? Even the people that are saying Marvel's a fanboys and they also cannot friggin' deny that those movies are so enjoyable and entertaining.
Yeah.
Because of how they craft the movie. And that's where my biggest problem lies with this production, and why I shoot it down so much is because it was built up so much by the director, and he literally compared it. Now, here's the difference between Civil War and BVS for those out there that are trying to say, oh, just go watch Civil War or whatever. Like, of course I'm going to go watch Civil War. Here's the difference is that they built up the friendship between Captain America and Iron Man for 8 years.
Right.
Right? We got 8 years of these characters meeting and interacting with each other and, like, becoming this family of heroes that had each other's backs, right? And became friends. Like, maybe not the best of friends. They had their differences, they had their arguments, but they always found common ground and came back together. And this movie is going to be the introduction of something that divides them so terribly that they can't find that common ground, and they're going to go at it, right? And this is a clear example of what Batman v Superman did not do, because until Batman v Superman, we hadn't even seen this version of Batman. And there's no feeling, there's no love lost there, because they never knew each other. All of a sudden, now they have to fight, and there's, like, who cares? There's no consequence.
Yeah.
Right? And then all of a sudden they're friends, and now he wants to, like, do something to honor his memory. Why? Like, you met him 10 minutes ago. Right?
I do have some faith in Ben Affleck, who's going to be directing. And it's weird. I know people are going to hate me for saying this. But he's a pretty good director.
He is. I had faith in Ben Affleck from the time that they announced that he was going to be Batman. Actually, I'm lying. Probably for the first 10 minutes, I was like, ew. But then once the internet blew up and said, fuck Ben Affleck, I was like, oh, the internet is never right.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be awesome. He's going to be okay. And he wasn't the reason that Daredevil sucked. Like, I thought he did a good job as Matt Murdock.
He's so now that he's directing and writing Batman, and now we also know he's starring in Batman. I'm looking forward to Batman. I mean, take it out of Zack Snyder's control, get a fresh perspective on it, and I'm looking forward to a new Batman film.
Yeah,
Batman's the Marvel character of DC anyway.
He is.
I want to give a shout out to Adam, Jerry, Steven, Crystal, and Jefferson, right? These guys are always coming through and hanging out, and they are some DC fanboys who come into my Marvel home, and we go to the movies and watch these Marvel movies together all the time. We argue back and forth, which is the best movies, which is the best shows. We broke Steven. Steven's a huge Superman fan, and he left that theater like with, that plastered smile, like the Joker's, right? Not the Joker's, but somebody who's been gassed by the Joker.
Yeah.
He left the theater with that smile, like, it was good. It was good. And you look in his eyes and you know that he's like, right? I feel bad, man.
Dude, if Ben Affleck is smart, I mean, he's got a friend in his pocket right now that he can pull out and just ask, and I know he'll do it. He should get Kevin Smith involved in helping him write this movie.
You think so?
He should. I'm not saying he will. I'm saying if I was him and I knew that Kevin Smith was available to me, and you know Kevin Smith would drop anything that he is doing in the moment to write Batman. You know he would.
Okay, so hang on a second. Hang on. Can I add here just a little bit?
Yeah.
How about we compromise? Because my first thought was Kevin Smith is not very successful commercially with movies, nor
not commercially. No, but
right.
We agree that we love his shit.
He's got some stuff that neither of us love.
Oh yeah, but the Clerks
with Ben
stuff,
Affleck,
the Clerks stuff was great.
Yeah, of course.
Like that's
and I'm looking forward to another one. And he's so powerful on the internet that I refuse to say anything bad about it. So while I was being cautious, I started thinking about one of my favorite duos, right, for writing and directing. So I love Robert Rodriguez movies like Desperado, and he's always teaming up with Quentin, and Quentin is the illest with a pen, right? Yeah. So first of all, if you could get Quentin to write Batman, then you get Quentin to write whatever Quentin wants to write. But
I'm talking about availability, though.
Right? Nobody believes Quentin's writing Batman.
Right.
What I'm suggesting is a team up like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez. So what we have is Kevin Smith going over the Ben Affleck script.
Well, yeah, that's what I was getting at.
I don't mean
get him involved.
Let's not have him write the whole thing, but if he does a touch up, this is what you get in Desperado, right? With Desperado, you got all these really cool, weird lines thrown into the movie that are just so amazing and awesome, and like fixed the pacing and did so many great things.
And let's be real, like Kevin Smith's claim to fame has got to be dialogue.
It's got to be. Yeah.
You know, dialogue is like, his dialogue is so impeccable. Like everything is like and his characters are so different from each other. Like it's a living world. Whenever you watch Clerks, whenever you watch Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, like those movies, like you have these characters that are like, you know, they're implanted in the movie. Yep. Like you have Jay and Silent Bob, but everything around them, every character is so different, and the world is so living and breathing that it's like it just makes everything worth it to watch. Zack and Mary, great movie.
All I could think about is Batman, Ben Affleck, and Robin, whoever they get, right, sitting around the Batcave talking about why episode 7 was better, one of their takes, or worse, the other one of their takes, than the original trilogy, right?
But come on, man, you've read.
This is Kevin Smith stuff.
But you've read Kevin Smith's Batman.
This is true.
And loved it.
I loved Kevin Smith's Daredevil.
Onomatopoeia?
If we were talking, yeah.
Right? Yeah. What? That was fucking awesome.
While we're talking comic books, I loved Kevin Smith's Daredevil and Kevin Smith's Green Arrow.
Guardian Angel? That was him, right? Guardian Angel. That was the or Guardian Devil, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was him and Quesada.
Yeah.
It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, was that
his
the
Green Arrow? Yeah, his
Yeah.
Green Arrow was like the best version of Green Arrow that I ever read.
Yeah.
And in the Green Arrow comic, Green Arrow meets Batman.
Yeah.
And it was the first time we're introduced to Kevin Smith's Batman, and we're like, why the fuck isn't Kevin Smith writing Batman?
Yeah.
Right? And then we had Kevin Smith writing the Death of Superman movie that got shot down. It was going to be a Tim Burton Superman movie that was written by Kevin Smith, and that got shot down, like, you know, pretty much right after everything was written and
now I'm really
ready
sad
for production.
That we never had a chance to see Nick Cage yell back at Batman, Martha. It could have just both of them go back and forth, Martha.
I think that's why that movie got canned, though, is because Nick Cage was involved. But all I'm saying is, after reading Kevin Smith's comics, all of them, anything that he's ever touched in the comic book world, right? After reading that, I can't say that I would expect it to be, you know, typical Kevin Smith Clerk style writing. He would be totally in tune with who that character is and what we should be getting from that character. Yeah. And I think that if Affleck is smart, he taps him and at least gets him to do what you're saying, get a collaboration going where he's actually like helping him out editing and going over, like, you know, what the script is and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think they should slow way down. I understand that Justice League is in production right now. I understand that.
That's the problem.
Like, it's already happening. I get that. Slow the whole rest of the calendar down. Apparently Wonder Woman was on a good track and it's looking all right. You know, so that's cool. Hopefully it is. Slow way down. Just slow down. Do your Justice League and make it the best that you can. And see how Batman goes, reevaluate, and keep giving us movies. Just make them stronger. But I will return my piece of shit sandwich and my neighbor's piece of shit sandwich too. Because if my neighbor starts biting into his piece of shit sandwich and going, I'm going to give it a try because I like Superman. Fuck you. It's a piece of shit sandwich. Take it back. He ordered steak. And I ordered steak too, motherfucker.
Like the reason why this movie fails is because it is the 8 years of what Marvel did to get to the point where they could say, here's
it's the pacing.
Here's Avengers, Infinity War. You know what I mean? Like they're doing Justice League Darkseid, right? Like Justice League versus Darkseid next year, right?
Yeah.
The first freaking thing out the gate is like this huge battle with this like alien dude like on another, and nobody knows why, nobody knows the reasons. It hasn't built up to anything.
Yeah, how do you go up from there?
Exactly, and you've got Marvel that took it step by step. You had Iron Man, which they didn't even know if it was going to be successful. Then it was successful. You had that stinger at the end with Nick Fury, introducing the idea of the Avengers Initiative, and then that was a big, like, everybody's like, wow, that's going to happen. And like, so because of the reaction, Marvel was like, okay, well maybe we can do this. And then they start like introducing other heroes, and we get to know everybody. Then they meet, and then it becomes the Avengers, and then we get the Avengers, and then we get Guardians of the Galaxy. Then they start taking risks.
Imagine
DC's like, wow, that can be done. Okay, cool, let's do it. Boom, right? And we don't get any of the buildup. We don't get to meet anybody. We don't get to.
What year was Iron Man?
Iron Man was 2008.
Was it 8?
All right. 8.
So let's say in Iron Man, at the end, Nick Fury pulls out a file with a whole bunch of other people in there. Is Captain America and Hulk and all these other people, and then it says 2009. Also 2009, 2010. There's like a date attached to each one of them that's in the next like 18 months.
Right.
And it's too much too soon. I mean, and what if one of them fails? I mean, how do you reevaluate? Because Marvel failed. Now, they didn't fail like an F, but Iron Man 2 was a lame duck, man. Iron Man 2 is, I know we differ and that's okay, but it wasn't good. It wasn't great. Right.
No, and that's another example of something that wasn't super excellent, but it was, to me, it was enjoyable. It was passing. Like I watched it, and like, you had elements that were kind of head scratchers. Like, what the hell are they doing with Whiplash? Like, what's his deal? Like, how come how is he an Iron Man villain, but he's like bare chested all the time? Like, like there were certain things that you're just like wondering, like, why doesn't Iron Man just crush this motherfucker?
Yeah.
Right. But you also had fucking RDJ, right? Being the best Tony Stark that he could be. Like,
and Sam Rockwell is another one of those actors who will take in anything.
Exactly. And the biggest problem with Iron Man 2 was that they approach Demon in the Bottle, but they never give it to you.
Yeah, that was
the tragic part of it, and I think that's what made a lot of people say, "Oh, this sucked." Right? Because you're expecting it. But
newer
you don't
Marvel, more aged Marvel, like it is, years later now. I think they could find a way to do something like that,
right?
And not at the time, and now it might be too late with that character. But I think,
well, at the time Disney bought them after the first Iron Man, and they were. I know that Favreau was like, "We're doing Demon in the Bottle," and Disney was like, "Yeah, no, you're not. We're not going to have an alcoholic hero, right? That's not going to happen. We're Disney, where we don't want the kids to, see that and try and emulate it and blah, blah, blah. So we're not doing that." So now that Disney has a little bit more faith in the Marvel way, they would probably allow a little bit more.
Do you think Disney's changed the Marvel books?
I think that Disney has changed the face of what they stand for, Marvel. Like the whole diversity thing, I totally give Disney credit for that. Like for that initiative, like like tearing everything down and
right?
giving us
10 years ago, nobody would really be saying this.
Yeah, like giving us a Korean American Hulk, giving us an African American Captain America. That's not from the past or a fuck up by the United States that got turned into a white Captain America. Like, he's actually today's Captain America.
Right.
To give us a female Thor, to give us in a Hindi Miss Marvel, right? Like,
Love Miss Marvel, such a great character.
To give us a Puerto Rican American African American Spider-Man, right? That doesn't want to be the black Spider-Man, right? Like, that was an awesome scene, by the way, where he's just like, well, I don't want to be the black Spider-Man. Yeah. Right. Yeah. I just want to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And like, to give us that now and to do it all in one shot, like, I totally think Disney has their stamp on that, because their whole, like, if you watch the Disney Channel at all, right? And I do, because I have, like, nephews that come over all the time. You have a child that probably watches it from time to time. I know he's more progressive than most children, and he probably watches The Walking Dead. Yeah, but sometimes. But he's got to watch Disney from time to time, and like you turn that channel on and you see diversity. Everything is diverse.
Nickelodeon,
everything is diverse,
and Disney,
and they've been that way for a long time. So I think they came in and they were like, wow, you have a lot of white superheroes. Let's fix that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, aside from that, I mean, I don't think they've,
I feel like the books are tighter. I didn't expect, I guess you should expect that, right? But you could also see a lot of dissent. You could see reason for a lot of people saying, oh, there's new management, I'm getting out of here. But it feels like they left management alone and let them do what was already working in it. And it hasn't gotten looser. It's gotten tighter, kind of like the books feel more streamlined. And I don't know if this is a result, but my only complaint about Marvel Comics recently has been the events. The events happen so frequently that there's no status quo, because they're going to shake up the whole world. So as soon as you get used to a character, well, guess what? In 6 months, all of Marvel dies.
Yeah.
Then they bring back Marvel and everybody's an alien. We're bringing back the real people.
I think what Marvel's going through now is what DC has been going through for years.
Crisis.
They're going through a crisis, an identity crisis. They're trying to find themselves and find what works, what people are going to love, and then they're gonna tear it down, keep the best of what they've got, and get rid of the rest, and like bring more stuff into it and see if that works. And
what's the rest? What do they need to get rid of?
I mean, they need to get rid of the new Avengers, in my opinion, because that shit is fucking boring. I tried reading it. I actually have been reading
the
it
new
all
Avengers.
The way through. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about, not the all new, all different.
Okay, no.
I'm talking about the one with Squirrel Girl and it's just. So,
and I love Squirrel Girl.
I love all the characters. Right. It's just not a good book.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like they have really shitty like villains and like story arcs and stuff like that, and like it could be so much more than it is, and I just feel like it's wasted.
What else?
Honestly, I think
I'd say the Inhumans. I don't know that you agree. I think you like the Inhumans more than I do.
I like the Inhumans story.
The tight small story. I like the tight small story.
I haven't read the new book. Like I've read a couple of issues, and I think part of the reason why I don't read some of the stuff is because they've thrown so many new things at us that I can't possibly read it all. Especially with all these movies and animated specials and stuff like that. I just end up there are certain ones that I just leave behind. And Inhumans is one of them. I do have the books. I just haven't read them yet. It's going to happen eventually, and hopefully it's something that can carry me through. But I mean, for now, I think, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is one of my favorite books. It's one of the surprise hits.
Yeah.
I think. Vision, you put me onto that.
Yeah, it's great.
The Silver Surfer has been much fun.
He just said The Vision, which nobody's reading. Read The Vision. I can't say that nobody's. I don't have the numbers. I don't know. I just can't imagine that people are picking up The Vision because it's such a weird, quirky book. It's so amazing.
Yeah, yep.
It's really good. And speaking of quirky, amazing books, the next book that you said was
Silver Surfer.
So amazing.
Yeah. And you want to talk weird and quirky? I mean, like it's just literally like it's silly. It's a silly book.
Now I don't like cosmic books. I don't like cosmic books, which is odd because my favorite Marvel movie is Guardians. I love it. I just think it's perfect. But but I don't love the cosmic stuff so much. I like stuff that's grounded. I love the art that I can relate to and look around and say, hey, this looks like, stuff that I can get. The Animal Planet kind of stuff. Like, this is the stuff that is in my world. I get it. I don't get a lot of the cosmic stuff, but Silver Surfer has been such a great ride. I think it's from the same guy who did Static X, which was another great Marvel book that went under the radar. You should also check out.
Yeah, it's not written by Milligan. Milligan did Static X.
It's not?
No, I believe it's written by Slott. It's written by Dan Slott. Dan Slott and Mike Allred.
No. So Mike Allred did the art. I'm talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mike Allred did the art on Static X.
Did I say it was written by or it was by? Because
you said by.
Okay. So I meant Mike. Right.
The artist.
I'm with you. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
the artist Mike Allred did Static X, but it was Peter Milligan who wrote that. And Dan Slott is the writer on Silver Surfer. Dan Slott is a freaking dope writer, man. Like, I love that dude. He is a guy that takes chances. He doesn't mind doing silly shit, and he's the guy that gave us Superior Spider-Man out of some Freaky Friday shit that I thought was going to be awful.
Yeah.
Like, you literally texted me and said, hey, I don't know what just happened, but it looks like Peter Parker and Doc Ock swapped minds. And I was like, that's bullshit. Right? Like, I literally, I was like, I am not reading that.
How stupid a premise is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And it was so fucking good.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the thing that Marvel does best is they take these swings, right? And it's like, let's try it and see how it goes. Right.
Yeah.
Like writers that they trust come to them and say, hey, I'm going to try this shit that's going to sound really silly, but give it a chance and let's see where it goes. Okay. And Marvel's like, okay, cool. Let's do it. And then they do it. And 9 times out of 10, it's a hit. Sometimes it's a miss, but they don't care.
You know what else I'm really enjoying? And this is something that we've talked about before, and you had a difference of opinion. I wonder if you've had a chance to check it out again or not. Red Wolf. As a matter of fact, I
haven't checked it out.
We didn't have the debate because you didn't like it, and I hadn't read it, but I read it anyway, and I'm like, man, this is really good, and I'm up to date, so I've read all of them, and I really like it. What was it that you didn't like about it?
It was just weird. It was like you had this Indian sheriff, right?
Uh-huh.
And to me, I'm just thinking in my mind, I'm reading this book, and I see this guy. He's a Native American sheriff, and I'm like, cool, he's a sheriff, right? But why is he wearing war paint all the time?
Yeah.
What's up with that? Take that shit off, and he could just be, because he's either you're gonna be dressed like a cowboy and a sheriff,
yep,
or you're gonna be dressed like an Indian in war paint. I don't see how. I think doing both just threw me off. I was just like, this is really weird, and I couldn't wrap my head around it, and I just stopped reading as soon as I realized that that's what was going on. I was like, nah, I'm done.
It's a good point. Why is he still wearing the war paint in contemporary times? He's a man out of time. But it's all happened in a matter of a day or two. So, I think.
But even then, I think you have the sense to say, okay, well, I'm going to put on these clothes so I can be like contemporary and be like the people that are around me. Right.
Yeah.
You look at everybody else. Nobody else is wearing war paint. Let me take this shit off now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to retire this. What I mean?
Now I got to go back and read today's issue and the one that came out this week and see if he was still wearing war paint, because that would be interesting.
And if he stops wearing the war paint, let me know, and I'll probably pick up the book and start reading it again.
Does that disqualify the book?
It disqualifies it for me.
Yeah. Yet my laundry list of things against Batman versus Superman did not disqualify it for you.
No. So let's take
we got one thing.
Let's take
the jar of piss or the
let's take T'Challa from Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
If he's gonna wear a suit,
yeah,
right? You're not gonna throw a dashiki over it. You know what I mean? Or maybe you are. Maybe that's how you wear a dashiki. Hold on. Wait. Let me read it. Let me think of something else.
I don't know enough.
Let me think of something else, because I don't know enough either. You're not going to put on a suit and then put on geisha paint. You know what I mean? And be in America and just walk around the streets. You know what I mean?
As a female?
As a male. You're not going to do that in Japan either, are you? right, never mind. All right, hold on. Let me think.
I wish you could see my face.
Hold on.
Wait,
do you get what I'm saying though? Like,
yeah, we gotta hold on. There's a lot. So there's a lot more comics. I mean, I remember you saying comics, and I just wanna like. There's so much good stuff out there. Marvel's publishing Star Wars books now, which you nor I thought that they could come in and make the splash.
I'm not gonna go to work every day at my store, right, and have my uniform on.
Yep.
But also have on my Giants fan paint on my face. Like have on like, a half white, half red, or half white and half blue face, right, at work, and just be like, hey, how you doing today? How can I help you out? Right? Like every single day, right? Because that paint is for like, I'm going to a game. This is my game face. You know what I mean? This guy's not going to war every day. He's going to work. He's a servant of the people as a sheriff, right?
Yeah.
And his face is made up like he's going to fuck you up every time he sees you. Like, I am going to fuck somebody up today. That's my job.
Yeah, I don't know that. Yeah, okay.
Like, that's what war paint is.
He does go to fuck people up, though.
Well, yeah, but he's not. That's not like if you're a sheriff, that shouldn't be your primary.
You make a
responsibility.
very decent point. You make a very decent point.
His uniform is just like that. Your uniform has to make sense to me.
You make a very decent point. I've just gotta take a look at it and see how much time has passed. Like, if he's even had the opportunity to address the issue.
Here's my point.
And then if that disqualifies the book, or if it's just something stupid in an otherwise pretty good book.
To me, right?
The worst case scenario, it's something stupid in an otherwise.
The reason there's face paint on him is to qualify him as a Native American. That's the reason why it's there. Yeah. And it doesn't need to be. It's the point.
It's to take this caricature and put him in red face.
Right. It's to say, hey, this guy's Native American. If you don't know that by looking at him, here's the face paint, right?
Yes.
Oh, gee, wow, now I know he's Native American. Like, you shouldn't have to do that, right?
Yep.
Like, it should just be known, hey, and like the name Red Wolf, like, okay, cool, like, but you're not, like, if that's your name, that's your name, right? But that's his name. By that alone, you should be like, oh, his name's Red Wolf. What culture is that from, right? Like, you don't need the face paint to accentuate that, and that's what's really bothering me about the book. It's like it's not necessarily insulting, but it's distracting, and it's like, fuck, I can't get over it.
It's a fair point, and shame on them if they're using it to put a caricature in red face. Otherwise, I've got to go back and check out the storyline again. I just want to, I want to take a look, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
I wanted to get into our list of movies.
Okay.
That we graded. You sent me recently because
I needed context.
Because I rated Batman v Superman a 70, right? Roberto could not get his head around it and understand why, so he wanted to know, what my scores for other movies were. Right.
Yeah.
So I understood that. So I was like, screw it. I'll do it. I sat down. He sent me this like Excel spreadsheet of like over now, 50 movies.
Okay. So you should know that I get obsessive, man. I do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I needed to understand how, when people were saying this is a good movie, I needed to understand how they were coming to this conclusion, how they were arriving at this is a good movie, or were they really watching the same movie that I was? So when you said that it was an okay movie, to me, that registered as a ringing endorsement, because to me, it was such a piece of shit that okay is like hearing A+. It's like, what the fuck? How could it possibly be okay? So what I needed to know was where it falls in your list of okay movies, right? Because if you thought that Michael Keaton Batman was okay and you call this movie okay, then what the hell is wrong with you? How are they both, in the same category? So I just needed to see how you categorize this movie. So I put together a ridiculously long list of, I could probably tell you here by the line number, 88 movies. And I put them in order of date because I'm meticulous and obsessive. Mm-hmm. And I went down and I pretty carefully ranked them 0 to 100. 100 being what I would consider a perfect movie. 0 being something that is just, there's nothing redeemable at all. And I'd like to think that there's something redeemable in almost any movie, right? So and including Batman versus Superman, yeah, I gave it an F, but I thought there was a lot of cool things in there, you know? Just like, think about those tests that you've taken that have like, you know, that you might get a lot of right answers, you might get a lot of wrong answers, but there's some essay questions that you feel like you nailed. You had some really good stuff in there.
Yeah. So here's something, right? Like, we're going to start off with like our highest ranked movies, right?
Okay.
And I want to start off at near the top, not at the very top, because at the very top we both agreed that Guardians of the Galaxy was a 100.
Yeah.
Right. So that nailed everything. There was nothing bad about that movie.
There's just I can't think of a single reason to take a point away from that movie. I just love every moment of it. So
being on a scale of 1 to 100, right? It's a broad scale, right? So it was it was, for me, it was a little difficult, but because I'm more of a 1 to 10 kind of guy, right? But it was like, so the second to the top was Captain America: Winter Soldier.
It turns out you're not a 1 to 10 kind of guy. It turns out you're a 1 or 10 kind of guy, is what I found out from this list. It was either like you can operate solely on a thumbs up, thumbs down basis, which is really interesting to me. Now, we're not talking about movies anymore. We're talking about you, right? We're talking about, so this is interesting. There's not anything wrong with that. You're not better or worse than I am. Like, I'm not better than you are, and you're not better than I am because of that. It's just so far different the way that we operate. Like, I need to take all of these things into consideration, and you're like, hey, I've seen enough. I can tell you high quality stuff here. Or I've seen enough. I could tell you 0. You know what I mean?
Right, but I think I do think that I have a little bit more range than that because of Batman v Superman being in the picture, and I am not giving that a ringing endorsement. I am just saying that it's not a 0, it's not 100.
So let's get to Batman versus Superman just so we can have context for the rest of the conversation, because I know that we're leaving everybody hanging. That's what we're talking about.
First, though,
okay, go
because
you
I have
facilitate. My bad.
Well, no. I just have a question about this, and it's on my mind right now, and I don't want to lose it. But Captain America: Winter Soldier, I gave it 100.
Yep.
Because I put it neck and neck with Guardians of the Galaxy. They're two different movies, like as far as like the type of movie that they are. But to me, they were both perfect representations of what those types of movies should be.
Yeah.
But you gave it a 99, and I want to know how something loses 1 point. Like, I mean, I get like a 95, I get an 80 or something like that, but you took 1 point away, and I want to know what the 1 point was.
I might have taken more points away than 1, although the final tally looks like 1. I might have dropped 5 points or so just for a little bit of pacing stuff. Like, is this perfect? If this isn't perfect, what keeps it from being perfect? Why don't I watch it all the time? Why don't I want to watch this again right now? And that sometimes doesn't display what's a perfect movie and what's not a perfect movie. There's some very bad movies that I want to watch over and over again all day long. And there's some very good movies again that I don't need to see again. You know what I mean? Guardians I can watch over and over again. Winter Soldier, after I saw it twice, I'm good. I don't need to see it again. And if there's a reason why I wouldn't want to watch it again, it would be because of the pacing, and because of the time that it takes to develop the story, and some of the stuff with Nick Fury. I think some of the plot points around Nick Fury were weird. I've got an issue with characters dying all the time and coming back, and it's one of the things that I hate about comics, Marvel, DC. It doesn't matter. Imagine we saw the dirt fly off the casket at the end of Batman versus Superman. Like, this whole storyline, first of all, if they would have called it Death of Superman, would have been contextually different and ranked higher to me, just out of context, right? And already we're talking about bringing it back. And I digress. I'm talking about that's where a little bit of the pacing stuff and a little bit of the tease of death with Nick Fury is the only area that I thought that kept it from being perfect. Probably should have had it around a 96, but I enjoyed it so much that I really register it as a 99.
So Batman v Superman, just because we want to get that as like the centerpiece of what we're doing here. You scored it a 44. I scored it a 70. 70 being passing. I passed it more than just like barely passing. Like, I thought it was an okay movie. And for me,
it's a C.
for me, and you know me from forever, like for me, an okay movie isn't necessarily an okay movie for everybody.
It's a failing movie.
Yeah. It's not an okay movie for everybody. I'm a little bit more generous than most people. But as you can see from my scores here, my sliding scale is it's forgiving.
Yeah.
Like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. That's my next highest ranked movie that you and I had.
Wait, did you give it a 400?
I sure did. I sure did, because it was such a fun movie, and I watched it so many times. And I was very surprised that you gave it a 98. I thought you would at least give it 100.
Oh, I love it so much. I love that movie so much.
And it's one of those movies that I didn't expect to love. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like, you read the comics before the movie, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
It's one of your favorite comic books.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I had never read the comics, so when I watched the movie, it made me want to read the comics.
Brian Lee O'Malley?
Yeah, and it made me want to read the books, and the books were great, and the movie covered just about every beat from the books, but it did it in such a different way that it was able to be contained in a feature-length film.
Before it came out, I told you, this book and this director is perfect. Mm-hmm. Matching Edgar Wright to this book is just the smartest thing possible.
Yep, and Edgar Wright, for those who don't know, I mean, you must know of Shaun of the Dead.
Yeah.
The End of the World.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz. This guy is everything. Trilogy, yeah. Everything he touches is friggin' amazing.
Yeah. Ant-Man is basically his.
Yeah. Yep. Most of Ant-Man that we've seen was his, with who's the new guy?
Oh, I don't remember.
Yeah, he gave, the new guy gave us what was that movie? The cheerleader film.
I can't say, he might have been great.
Yeah,
but I just needed him to not screw up what I already trust in Edgar Wright. That's how much I trust Edgar Wright, and I feel bad for whoever the guy whose name I'm forgetting for Ant-Man.
Bring It On. He did Bring It On.
Right? So maybe he's amazing, and I hope that he really nails the next one.
Yeah, Ant-Man and the Wasp.
But yeah, as I'm watching this, I see all these Edgar Wright things in it.
Well, we're not going to have Michael Douglas. That's going to suck.
Oh, yeah.
Did Michael Douglas die, or is he dying? What's the deal?
I don't remember. I think we're on our own. We're all right. As long as I have Michael Pena.
Yeah, right? So yeah, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I'm not sure why you gave it a 98, but I gave it a 400 because it blew away my expectations. Like that movie was just awesome. It was funny. It was well written. You felt for the characters.
All right, you win. I yield to you. On a scale of 0 to 100, I give it a 400.
All right, cool. So we agree on that.
Scott Pilgrim's it's so good.
I rated Superman lower than you. The original Superman film.
Yeah.
Mainly because of the whole flying around the world thing.
Really? Because I thought that's why. I thought that's. It's weird because I gave it a 90. You gave it an 85.
Right. It wasn't that big of a disparage. That big of a difference.
Right. We're close. It's, to me, that's the only thing that kept that movie because I loved the next one so much. But after so much time has passed and I watched it again, Superman 2, which I also gave a 90, and you also gave a 90. Mm-hmm. Superman 2, which was the standard bearer, now if I watched it today, it seems so goofy. And there's a lot more slapstick stuff happening in Superman 2 than in Superman 1. So Superman 1, I give that serious nature a lot more points. And I took away, the only points that I took away was flying around the earth backwards to save Lois, because that's not science, and it makes my brain hurt. So that I thought was upsetting, but otherwise, damn near perfect movie.
Then Superman 3, we both kind of agreed that
awful.
Yeah, you gave it a 38, I gave it a 15.
Yep.
Just because they had a chance to do something, and they didn't.
Yeah.
They were just oh, let's just get a Superman movie out there. Supergirl, I gave it a 5. You gave it a 25. That seems like a big difference. And the only reason why I gave it a 5 was because Helen Slater.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't
maybe.
I don't remember the movie enough. I just remember it not being good, but I thought it was all right anyway because it was capes.
The Punisher, I gave it 20, you gave 35. And we're not talking about the Thomas Jane Punisher. We're talking about
Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, because that happened with no skull on his chest at all. Like, the one thing that fucking makes the Punisher cool and badass, they decided not to use.
Good for them to have him running around the sewer, though.
Yeah, like on a motorcycle in the sewer.
Yeah.
How he got it out of the sewer to, like, ride on the streets, I have no idea.
Kudos.
We disagreed on Roger Corman. Like, you gave it a 49. I said it did not belong on the list.
I didn't know that we disagreed. I knew after I saw this list, but I thought we went our whole lives saying, yeah, man, that movie was deliciously awful.
Well, it was, but here's the thing. Like, Roger Corman's Fantastic Four, right?
Yeah.
Was Roger Corman's Fantastic Four. It's like having that on the list is like having, like,
for those who don't know,
Batman Predator YouTube thing on the list. Like, I mean, it's not really a movie. It's not really, it's not really anything.
If you don't know, Fox had the rights to Fantastic Four, and all they had to do to keep the rights was to produce a movie. So they hired B movie director Roger Corman to make a movie, and they gave him a budget of like $1 million, like nothing. They gave him like no budget. Obviously they weren't trying to make a good movie. They weren't even trying to release a movie. They were just trying to have a movie so that they can contractually qualify to keep the rights to Fantastic Four, which they did. The movie with no budget, of course, was horrible. This old man goes to pick up this young family at the house for a space adventure, and the mom's like, "Oh, you're going off to space now. Look at you, my Fantastic Four." You remember this stuff?
Yes.
Oh man, and Dr. Doom. Here's the thing though, and you have to agree. Dr. Doom was just a mime. He was awful. He was dressed like Dr. Doom, but he was literally like a mime. As he spoke, they were so afraid that he wouldn't be able to emote because you can't see his face, that they had him hand motion what he was saying. So, for example, if he said, "I love you," they would have him do like a Justin Bieber heart thing against his chest. You know what I mean? I remember him saying, "You're watching me on the television," and he motioned to his eyes, and then he made a box like it was the television.
Yeah, he was like the sign language chick in the lower hand corner of the screen, like when you're watching.
Yes,
the
exactly.
president talk.
That's a
or
great
whatever.
example. Now, it was laughably bad, but to this day, and there've been multiple Dr. Dooms.
It was
now,
the best representation of Dr. Doom.
It's still the best representation of Dr. Doom. With all respect to the guy from Nip Tuck who tried it a couple years ago, this was the best Dr. Doom there was, and I love some Dr. Doom. The story wasn't that awful. The script was. The special effects were terrible. To me, still a better movie than Batman versus Superman.
Dude, so I want to talk about some of our worst though, and really I'm just gonna group them all into one thing.
Go for it.
And I just want to know how they got points at all, because I gave all three of these a 0, but somehow you gave Catwoman an 11. I don't know how it got 11 points at all. You gave Elektra a 38. Like, Elektra got a 38, dude.
Yeah.
And you gave Man-Thing a 17. Man-Thing got more points than Catwoman, which Man-Thing was a television movie, wasn't it? It was on Sci-Fi?
Like a Sci-Fi Network,
yeah.
Marvel movie.
Like,
yeah, it was really bad.
Dude, I'm looking at these scores and I'm like, how do they even get a score? Like,
well, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
And this is my answer. After I learned logic as like a course, right? So it's like mathematical wordplay. It really changed my world. It changed my world. Like, it's replaced religion and all these other things. Like, this is what makes so much sense to me. Would you agree that to some form or another, one of those movies is better than the other one? Not good. I'm not claiming that any of them are good. In fact, I've qualified all of them as failing movies. They're all terrible movies. But if I had to rank the terrible movies, I could rank them and say this one's worse than this one.
What this tells me,
Yeah.
this list,
Wait, would you agree that
you finished those 3 movies to be able to judge them against each other, and I could not, not finish any of them. Like I got through maybe the first half hour
I thought you watched
each.
Elektra.
Yeah, the first half hour.
I think you watched
first half hour.
All right, I won't blow up your spot. It's your show.
No, first half hour, bro.
All
like,
right.
what did I sit there and watch it with you or something?
I thought we went to the movies.
No,
I know we did for Spirit of Vengeance or
yes,
Ghost Rider,
we did.
Ghost Rider 2.
Yep.
As awful as that was.
But Idris Elba was in it, so that I gave it more points than you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, that disqualifies them from being zeros, right? If I can say this one was slightly less awful than this one, which one smells the most? Which one smells the absolute worst? And you give me like 3 really horrible smelling things, and I could point at like, oh my God, this one's going to make me throw up right now. That tells you that they're not zeros. Like the one that makes me throw up right now and I can't even have it near me, that's the 0. So these are on a sliding scale of awfulness.
So I feel like if I was to watch all of those movies in their entirety, I would have to start getting either into negative territory, right?
That's not,
or if negative is not part of
you've broken
the equation,
the scale, my friend.
I would have to get into decimals.
Okay.
So I'd have to say maybe 0, and then like maybe 0.2, maybe 0.5, right? But I don't even think I could get into like the number 1. I don't think the number 1 would be a thing. Like a full integer, I could not.
I don't know what you want me to do. I don't want to argue for any of these movies. You win. You win. They're all zeros.
Yeah.
They're
awful.
all. I've explained my logic to the audience.
Like they've literally.
So
they are literally.
My logic exists, but if you want to call them zeros, I'm not going to argue with you.
Dude, they're my weapon when it comes to a horrible movie. Like somebody says, "Oh, this movie's awful," and I'd be like, "Well, at least it's not Elektra or Catwoman."
Yeah. Yeah.
Man-Thing's not even in my brain.
Here's why Catwoman's worse than Elektra. Because DC has always treated the women terribly, like we've already said, and it's always been a cosmetics company, right? That's what she was fighting in Catwoman, in the Wonder Woman TV show that never came out. Shame on them for not doing it right, because they had the perfect cast. They got Adrienne Palicki from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And she's so amazing. And she was fighting Carrie Ells, a cosmetics dude. Like, these are women, so let's have them fight makeup people. Really? Is that the best you can do? That's offensive. I am offended.
Not only is it offensive, but it's also like, why?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other villains that you have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the problem, one of the biggest problems I have with DC movies and television and whatnot is that the fucking studio owns all the shit.
Yeah.
They own everything. Like Marvel, we've got, Fox, because they have their hands in the pot. We got Sony with their hands in the pot. We got, Lionsgate had their hands in the pot. That's the biggest problem that I have with it, is that we are doing so much with a fraction of what Marvel owns.
Yeah.
And I say we, like I'm like on the team, but you know what I mean? Like I'm a Marvel fan.
Yeah.
And DC has everything. Like they have everything's all in one basket.
Yeah.
Why can't they just use their characters that were written to be the characters that they are? And they have to change everything. You're introducing new shit like cosmetics villains, like that don't even exist in the comics. You're introducing a Lex Luthor that's a fucking real estate agent. And then in the next one, he's a gigolo, and he's like, he's more of a gigolo, but still a real estate agent.
Yeah.
And then you got this guy who's he's not even on that spectrum. He's some completely different douchebag.
Yeah.
Why? When you had Smallville and the Lex Luthor on Smallville, that everybody
so good.
Everybody can agree that was the best, not only the best representation of Lex Luthor, but they should be calling Michael Rosenbaum right now and saying, "Hey, dude, you ready?
Yeah,
let's do this."
Yeah, you look close enough. Like we can make you look like Jesse Eisenberg a little bit.
Just shave his head.
No, and no disrespect to Jesse Eisenberg, because he's Jesse Eisenberg.
Yeah,
he shouldn't have been cast for this.
No. And it just goes back to.
But tell me why it passed.
okay, so why did Batman v Superman pass? I told you why it passed. It passed because it entertained me, and I was able to sit in that theater and I followed everything, even though everything was so disjointed. I was able to take like the pieces of it. It's the same reason why I like Sucker Punch. I liked Sucker Punch more than anybody else liked Sucker Punch. Why? Because I compartmentalized.
It's a fair example.
Each thing. I compartmentalized each thing that was going on, and I said, I love that scene. That was awesome. I enjoyed that scene. And I compartmentalized it because that's what it was. To me, that's how it was written. That's
Would you say Sucker Punch was a good movie?
I would say Sucker Punch was an okay movie.
It's interesting to me because like
I put Sucker
quality
Punch in
of movie and enjoyment. I just consider
category.
Such different things. Quality of movie and enjoy. Like again, like I point at those movies. The Last Dragon, right? I love The Last Dragon. One of my favorite movies ever.
I have perspective for you.
You know, it wasn't.
I have it.
High quality.
I have it.
Yep.
Do you remember the Earth X like video clip that they played at Chicago Comic-Con?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And how we watched that and we were like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That was dope.
Yeah.
Right? And it was like maybe like what, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, if that? Maybe
shorter.
even less.
Yeah.
Like 7 minutes or something.
We gotta find that.
I watched the Batman v Superman movie, and the Batman v Superman movie was like a bunch of that, like just strung together.
Yeah.
But none of it interconnecting. So I watched each scene as a separate, like a separate video.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, that was a cool scene. Right? But then the next scene I might have been like, I didn't like that scene at all. But then there might have been another scene that I was like, oh, that was really cool.
Yeah. Right?
And I watched it in these little like flashes, and it was like these little flash fevers that I had that were like, oh, that was awesome. And I was like, oh, that was garbage. That was awesome. That was garbage. And it was just watching a montage almost. The whole movie was like a montage to me. And like it had great scenes and bad scenes. And as a whole, the movie failed. But in these small parts, like they entertained me enough that I was like, this is an okay movie. I will watch it again when they add the 30 minutes to it.
It makes sense to me. 30 minutes. I read today that there's a 4-hour cut of this movie. Let me ask you a question. I realize that you're still building your empire here, right? You and Tony are building something really cool.
Yeah.
You showed me some plans for where you're developing. So I know this is so early. Do you have a method for listeners to respond? Because I really want to see what your community thinks about the Batman versus Superman debate. Like what grade would you give it? Can we put like a report card somewhere? Can people somewhere put grades? Is there a comment section?
I mean, there is there's a comment section, but we've also have put up some like polls, like reader polls, and user polls and listener polls. People that watch The Walking Dead, for instance, we did some stuff with like who's gonna die and whatnot like that.
Can you attach it to this? Can you attach like?
Yeah, like when I put this out, I can actually put up a poll, and I can do it on Twitter and Facebook and see what the results are, and we can see.
Now, for people who get this through various sites, where should we go to see this poll?
Twitter. At Redbeard Podcast.
At Redbeard Podcast on
and
Twitter.
And on Facebook, Redbeard Podcast.
I'm going to go. I have 2 Twitter accounts, so I'm going to vote F twice. Yep. DC fanboys, that's F for fuck you. I really, DC fanboys, I really want better for you. I want your movies to be almost as good as Marvel. I want you to push Marvel. When you get better, I'm afraid you're going to get cockier than you already are. But because so many of you are near and dear to me, I want this to be good for you.
Yeah, me too.
Man, please hit up that comment section. I want to see what you think, man. Give this movie a rating.
Mike Tyson, when he was knocking everybody out in 10 seconds,
yeah.
I mean, it was exciting, but there was really no winner. You paid like $100 to watch this dude fight for 10 seconds.
Yep.
When Mike Tyson gets in the ring and he fights somebody that goes 12 rounds, dude, that's a fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Everybody wins then, right?
Yeah.
You paid $100 and you got your money's worth, right? I feel like if Marvel versus DC turns into something where everybody is contributing to the genre, and DC is killing it and Marvel's killing it, everybody wins, man. There's no winner, there's no loser. It doesn't matter. But when you have such a clear difference in quality, as far as the writing and the storytelling, dude, I mean, I feel like we've all lost because now we've got, I mean, we still have Marvel, but I was hoping that like I could go all year, right? And be like, yo, I've got Marvel, DC, Marvel, DC, Marvel, DC. I can go and see something awesome like every month or every other month. You know what I mean? Now, I'm looking forward to Suicide Squad. I want to see what they do with that. But if that fails and that fails me, like I'm going to lose all faith and I'm going to stop going to see DC movies, and that's going to suck.
Well, I think you just made an important point that it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that being said, man, I mean, it was great having you on the show again, and you know, it's good to see you. Hopefully we can do some more of this.
Check out our stuff, man. Steamboxri.com. I'm trying to take some students to Japan, so if there's listeners who are Marvel fanboys who got my back and you want to help some students go to Japan, or if you want to help my students, since most of them are DC nerds anyway, and help them get their dreams come true to Japan, you guys should check out the link, check out some of the stuff that we're doing. Thanks a lot.
All right, man. Have a good one. Peace.